Yes, good afternoon. Today is Friday, September the 4th. Happy weekend, happy Labor Day weekend. And so today we see the last installment of it should be the top 10 ancient cultures that exist in the free world. I have to admit, this shows you how long ago this was recorded. Um, I recorded this off of Travel Channel, but I originally recorded it via VHS in the 1980s. And since then, I have um, converted it to DVD, and I've kept the DVD all these years. If I were to show you the entire thing, you would see advertisements for Insight cable, which was the first cable that came to this area back in the late 70s, early 80s. I'm sorry. And so, yeah, that's what it is. I still think it's good video. And like I said, um, if you say, oh, I can't believe I have to watch this, I've seen it well over 200 times. And, I still think it's interesting. And so, yes, first we go to the two best, Papua New Guinea and Central Asia.
At the number 2 spot in our countdown of the...
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of color there, right? That's an art form. That's an art form. But that's not the only kind of self-decoration we're going to see here.
World's best ancient cultures, Papua New Guinea. The Papuans are the most linguistically diverse people on Earth. Thousands of tiny tribes speak a fifth of the world's languages.
All right, try and get your head around that stat. And by the way, look how colorful that is. That in Papua New Guinea, which occupies only half of that island, 1/5 of the total number of world's languages exist there. I mean, so there are all these little tiny tribes, and each one speaks a different language. That's how isolated they are. And yeah, 1/5 of the world's languages. And I mean, that's art, guys. I mean, that is art right there. And you notice the guy with the thing through his nose. I mean, when I remember first seeing this, I thought that was the oddest thing I'd ever seen. And now, people, more and more people have tattoos. They have the holy things in their ear, the expanders, and what is art? What is beauty? It's different.
And they're all squeezed onto one island.
See, look, that only from this line. This is Papua New Guinea right here. Only this half. Over here, this is part of Indonesia, a whole other country. But yes.
This island has always been synonymous with a dark, untamed, unknown world. Even in the late 20th century, missionaries were still hiking through its inhospitable jungles to discover new tribes. Most Papuans have converted to Christianity.
And see, what you see here, what we're about to see here is, wait for it, I don't know how many of you guys are Roman Catholic or been to a Roman Catholic service. You are watching a Roman Catholic service. And you're going to sit there and say, that's like no Roman Catholic service I've ever seen in my lifetime. Roman Catholics sent missionaries to Papua New Guinea. And the thing about the Roman Catholic Church is, wherever it is, it takes upon the cultural flavor in many respects, decoration of the church, et cetera, of the area in which it exists.
With their roots in the Stone Age, ancient beliefs in natural spirits, and seemingly strict...
That's what we're looking at here. This is Mass. And this man here is a lay person. That means a person who's not a priest, who is reading from the scripture. That's the priest right there. And so you can see Christianity, Roman Catholic Christianity, has infiltrated this culture. And we can have a discussion about whether or not it is imperialistic for one religion to come in and say, hey, my religion is better than your religion is bogus. That's time for a different discussion. Point of the matter is, it is what it is, and there it is. And so there you see this gentleman of Papua New Guinea, and he's wearing his traditional clothing. He doesn't have a shirt on in Catholic Mass. And, I don't know if you've ever been to a church service. Most church services, people wear shirts. And that's another interesting story. I'll tell you at another time.
Strange customs color and mold their Christian lives.
See, look, that's Catholic Mass. Yes.
Here, men and women live separately because the men fear the contaminating power of women. All teenage boys are denied contact with women for a year and a half. Living in bachelor cults, they pass through initiation rites that purify them of their female influence. For deeply embedded in the Papuans is a belief that you literally are what you eat. So if you were breastfed by your mother, you are your mother. One of the best ways to change this is bloodletting.
Oh, now look what they're doing here. This is art. Yeah, what this person is doing here, they are not just bloodletting, they are intentionally scarring the person's skin in patterns to represent the patterns of various animals. Not alligators, crocodiles, for example. And so, is that pretty? Is that art? Answer both. Well, I don't know about pretty, but it is absolutely art. See, look, you see, this is the end result here. This was done, as you saw there, by scarring, it looks like hundreds of times, this person's is skin.
What used to be common was cannibalism, because to eat a man made you a man.
You did catch that, didn't you? Yeah. Cannibalism.
Cannibalism, they say, isn't practiced anymore, although there are rumors. Most cannibalism, or headhunting, was done after an intertribal war. Traditionally, vengeance has always been preferred over peaceful settlements, and a few tribal wars can still be guaranteed each year, fought not with guns and bombs, but with bows, arrows, spears, and axes. But today, the most common form of intertribal competition is the Sing Sing. These ancient gatherings of the clans are an opportunity to express tribal solidarity and superiority. When the dancing is over, they go back to their farms. They have been cultivating this land for more than 10,000 years, making them probably the oldest horticulturalists in the world.
Once again, remember the importance of agriculture. Actually, we haven't talked about that, or have we not? No, have we? Yes, the most important invention ever, which is on your test, most important invention ever, agriculture. And it's most important to the arts as well, because it allows the person to have leisure time.
And with the extra food they grow, they can buy pigs, shells, or bird plumes, which they can then exchange for a wife or two. The Papuans have a strong and ancient culture, but their absorption of Christianity means they miss the number one slot in our countdown and take their place at number 2. In our countdown, the world's most untainted ancient cultures have been...
See, I mean, like I said, it began with 10, and I was watching this one day, and I just happened to interrupt it when we were talking about Japan, but, I said, this is too good to let go.
A people as old as time, the descendants of feudal warriors, a land where the ancient is sacred. A diverse 40,000-year-old heritage, a nation of ancient explorers, a biblical world come to life, a disappearing ancient people, the original source of all cultures, and a Stone Age nation of many colors. But there is one ultimate location, the last in our countdown, remote and once forbidden, a land where the hands of time have simply stopped. Meet a lost world.
Central Asia. They're actually going to go to a couple of places here. One is Mongolia, and the other deep in the Himalayas, Shangri-La. Well, that's what it was called, Shangri-La, the home of the Dalai Lama. We'll talk about the Dalai Lama in a couple of seconds here. But yeah, he doesn't live in Central Asia anymore. He doesn't live in Tibet anymore. Yeah, that's another matter of discussion.
The planet's #1 place to visit untouched ancient cultures is Central Asia. The old Soviet Union once closed the doors to Mongolia, but today Mongolians have gained their freedom, and all are welcome. What is revealed is a country where 40% of the population has the same lifestyle as the nomadic armies of Genghis Khan.
Yeah, see, Genghis Khan and the Mongols came from Mongolia. And they lived their entire lives literally on horseback. One man in Genghis Khan's old army would have 10 horses, and he would simply hop from horse to horse to horse. He would cook his meat on the horse by putting that meat between the horse's body and his saddle blanket and ride it all day. And the heat generated by the horse's body would cook the meat. I know, yeah, tasty, right? But I mean, when you're talking about horses, I grew up on a farm. We had one horse during my lifetime there, but I like, of course, horses are horses. They're pretty. You like them, right? And being the nerd that I am, the other night I was watching a documentary entitled Horse, the Unsung Hero of the American Civil War. I'm a nerd. I can't help it, right? I like documentaries. And it talked about that there was 1.6 million horses who died in the American Civil War. And, you think, well, they got shot or they got hit by explosions. Yeah, a lot of them did. But a lot of them also died from just being worn down. I mean, it talked about how these soldiers would ride these horses with their saddle strapped tightly to their back for long distances, never take the saddle off, and it would literally wear away the hide of the horse until the horse just fell over, and they would just leave the horse there by the side of the road, find another horse, and move on. Yeah, kind of cruel, and I'm sorry, but these Mongols don't do that.
12th century.
All right, it's going to tell you later on that darn it. That structure, those circular structures, homes that you're looking at, are called yurts. Y-U-R-T-S, plural. And those are structures that can be taken down and put up in a couple of hours. That's their home.
All are welcome. What is revealed is a country.
Horton, come on.
Meet a lost world.
See, that's the one thing about this. Aww. You should never touch that button. Sorry, guys.
The planet's #1 place to visit untouched ancient cultures is Central Asia. The old Soviet Union once closed the doors to Mongolia, but today Mongolians have gained their freedom, and all are welcome. What is revealed is a country where 40% of the population has the same lifestyle as the nomadic armies of Genghis Khan in the 12th century.
Those are yurts. Those are yurts, you see.
Genghis Khan and his descendants managed to create the largest empire in history. By the 13th century, this stretched from Korea to Hungary.
It only lasted 100 years, and then it fell apart.
All because the Mongols had the greatest nomadic cavalry. Today, Mongolia has shrunk to the size of Western Europe. The descendants of those great warriors are still dominated by the needs of their herd, moving their stock to seasonal pastures up to 15 times a year. The people live a lightweight and portable lifestyle, perfected over thousands of years. They can pack and unpack their lives in just 2 hours.
Yeah, they're setting up a yurt, 2 hours, and then be ready to move.
But the most defining quality of Mongolian culture is that strangers are always made to feel welcome. And when there's time to relax, these people still follow the pastimes of their ancestors. Mongols will travel huge distances to join the festivities of a bungo. Here, the skills of Genghis Khan's army are still celebrated in the sports of wrestling, horsemanship, and archery.
Interestingly enough, Mongolian wrestlers have fared very well in the Olympics. Wrestling's a big thing in Mongolia.
The only new ideas which have penetrated this culture arrived in the 15th century, when Tantric Buddhism, the same Buddhism followed by the Dalai Lama, came down from the Himalayas to merge with their older folk beliefs.
Now, you might remember that when the first place we went to was India. Remember that I told you India was the birthplace of Buddhism. And, Buddhism made it over the Himalayas and into Mongolia, and now it is the primary faith of the Mongols. Interestingly enough, though, once again, in India, there are relatively few Buddhists. The Indians just felt that Buddhism is a religion that is all about acceptance and peace and tolerance. It's actually, it makes it sound very appealing. But yeah, the people of India felt that Buddhism was too tolerant of foreign invaders, for example.
And if you travel higher into the Himalayan mountains, you will find the world's last remaining Tantric Buddhist kingdom, Bhutan. Said to be the last of the Shangri-Las, this is a country where governmental edicts preserve the ancient way of life. Their king, Jigme Singye, has said, "I am not concerned with the gross national product, but with the gross national happiness of my people."
Did you catch that? The king of the country of Bhutan, Bhutan, said, "I'm not concerned with the gross national product. I'm concerned with the gross national happiness of my people." That's a very Buddhist thing to say. I mean, if you ever are into studying religions, Buddhism is intriguing because Buddhism is the only one of all the major faiths that says, and listen to this, Buddhism says, you know what? We as Buddhists believe that our way of life, our set of beliefs is the proper way to find inner peace, the proper way to find enlightenment. However, we accept the idea is that your belief, your set of values, your belief in whatever God, deity, they could be correct as well. No other faith says that. All the faiths say our faith is right and your faith is terrible. And there have been so many wars fought about this. But the Buddhist hold, our faith is, we don't think it's right, but you know what? Yours could be right too. And they can both be right. In fact, the Buddhists believe that the acceptance of all faith, as long as they are based in righteousness and love. It's interesting.
This happiness is founded in Buddhism. 1,300 years ago, so the story goes, Guru Padma Sambhava flew on the back of a tiger to this remote kingdom. Thunder heralded his arrival, and the Dupka, or dragon people, took to his beliefs. His message was, be kind to all animals and the natural environment, for a belief in reincarnation means that any creature could be your father or mother. Buddhist monks often care for injured animals, like this black-headed crane. A deeply devout people, they pray and meditate everywhere. Here, a turn of the wheel, a gust of wind, or the flow of a stream will take your prayer to heaven.
One of the major components of Buddhism, and by the way, there are 8 noble truths of Buddhism, which I don't know, but one of them is meditation. It's a very intriguing discipline approach of Buddhist meditation, of beginning with controlling your breathing and things like that. And tremendous discipline. For example, before the United States entered the Vietnam War, Vietnam was governed, in fact, all during the time the United States was in the Vietnam War, Vietnam was governed by a very corrupt government. To be honest, the guy was French. He wasn't French, but he spoke French, had the French culture. He accepted Roman Catholicism. Very corrupt, though, as far as the people. Most of the people of Vietnam, like most of the rest of Southeast Asia, are Buddhist. And this government was so corrupt that one of the Buddhist monks, to protest the corruption of the government, went and sat in the middle of the main intersection of the busiest intersection in the city of Saigon. He sat down there in the lotus position, which you might be familiar with, of crossing the legs like this, and began meditating. And he had one of his friends douse his body in gasoline. And then his friend backed away, and the monk struck a match. And here's the incredible part. He sat there like this, totally frozen, while those flames engulfed his body. I mean, it's on film if you want to look it up, if you want to Google it. But yeah, it's incredible. And you say, what are you talking about, Mr. Warren? How could a person do that? A lot of it is found in the Buddhist discipline, Buddhist, meditation. Fact of the matter, all of your martial arts movies, you see where they're supposed to be associated with Buddhism. There was, and forgive me for going off the subject here, but there was a documentary made, a BBC documentary about the Buddhist powers of meditation, and they went high up in the Himalayas to a Buddhist monastery, and to demonstrate the powers of meditation, several Buddhist monks went outside, and it's very, very cold. The winds come down straight from the North Pole, nothing blocking those winds, bitter cold, ice, very low air temperatures, and these Buddhist monks sat there in the lotus position. All right, hang on. Then other Buddhist monks came out there and poured water on each one of those monks who were sitting there. Not only did they not flinch, they continued to sit there. Now, normally, getting wet, it's one thing to be cold, quite another to be wet and cold, quite another. Normally, that'd be a death sentence. But those monks sat there, and they should have been dying of hypothermia. Their clothes were soaked to the bone, but sure enough, they sat there not moving, and eventually you begin to see little puffs of steam coming up off their body. It's amazing the control that they have. But yeah, Buddhism is a big part of this culture.
This is a country where the state and religion are one. Each town or village has a temple, which also serves as a center for education and government. At least one son in each family is expected to become a monk. The rest of the people are either yak herders or farmers, trying to eke the most out of tiny strips of land. And when the harvest is done, towns all over the country put on mystical medieval plays. Based on the life of Buddha.
See, art, plays, costuming based on the life of Buddha.
And past gurus. Even here, respect for nature is paramount. this sometimes cynical and harsh world of ours, there is still one corner of the planet where an ancient civilization exists intact. That's why Central Asia is the #1 ancient culture in our countdown. We've seen all 10 of the best ancient cultures still in existence today. So if you're fed up with your hectic life.
So before I let this say goodbye to you, remember I mentioned the Dalai Lama. Buddhism is like any other religion. It has different sects, denominations, but most Buddhists hold that the Dalai Lama is the reincarnation of the original Gautama Siddhartha, the original Buddha, who lived in India in the 6th century BC. He has been reincarnated, according to Buddhist tradition, 14 times. And the current Dalai Lama is supposed to be the most current reincarnation of him. And, wait for it, he lives in Indiana. Now you say, why does he live in Indiana? Well, he lives in Indiana because the Chinese government wants to claim Tibet, the country he is from, as its own. And Tibetans recognize the Dalai Lama as not only the spiritual head of the country, but the political head of the country. And China says, no, Tibet is ours. That China says everything is ours. But yeah, and so the Dalai Lama had to flee, and he lives in Indiana. Yeah.
And want to enjoy a bit of time travel, pack your bags and go see for yourself an ancient civilization alive. But don't wait too long, as the modern world overtakes the
art.
They may not be around for much longer.
Take one look at this.
And there we are. Okay, you'll script that for me. And, this past week you picked up 80 points. And so there. Have an awesome weekend. On Tuesday, we'll go back to, I will not be here Tuesday. If you want to ever talk to me, Google me. I won't be here. But there'll be an assignment. There'll be something for you to do, probably a lecture on prehistory. And so, yeah, with having said all that, I'm going to peace out or whatever they call it. And I will talk to you all much later. Have an awesome weekend. Enjoy your Labor Day.